intend to give a speech. That because of that, I've already put on the before you a presentation I was going to make so that we can read it ahead of time and have a very fruitful discussion. We are moving on with new reforms for our decentralization structure, our decentralization system. I'm sure we are all aware and all educated on the processes. But we also recognize that there are a few issues that maybe you may need clarity on. So the essence of this forum is for us to have fruitful discussions, for you to ask questions on clarity so that you can support the process. You all recall that Mr. President Nana Akufo-Addo has said on numerous occasions in his message on the State of Nation to Parliament. He said it in 2017. He said he had met with former heads of states and they had come to the agreement that it's time now for us to elect our MMDCs and to do that on partisan basis. And he charged the Minister of Local Government and Rural Development to start working on the process. The Minister of Local Government and Rural Development also developed a roadmap to identify the processes, identify the legislations that needed changes, and articles in the Constitution that we needed to change, and we'll follow that process. I think when I launched the roadmap with press, when we completed that, we developed our roadmap, I had a media encounter and shared the roadmap with them. If you look at the paper I just presented to you, our Constitution requires that we make democracy a reality by decentralizing the administrative and financial machinery of government to the regions and districts, and by affording all possible opportunities to the people to participate in decision-making at every level in national life and in government. And then 241, the chapter 20 focuses on decentralization. It also provides that Ghana shall have a system of local government and administration which shall, as far as practicable, be decentralized. And you are well aware that for the last 30 years, we've had our district assemblies on. They started with the PNDC on local government, and then after the Constitution, they passed the Local Government Act 407, and we've been operating with that. And we had our MMDCEs elected. Article 243 provides that the president shall appoint with at least 2/3 majority approval from the assembly members present and voting. And that's the procedures we've had all these times. But a number of research indicate otherwise, that Ghanaians want to see their MMDCs elected. If you look at the Constitutional Review Commission report on our Constitution, it says that since the introduction of the 1992 Constitution, there have been incessant calls for a change in the manner of appointing MMDC, which in the opinion of many Ghanaians is undemocratic. It was argued that it is undemocratic to superimpose a national government structure that is contested on political party lines over a local government system that is non-partisan. The word there is not in. Then the National Commission on Civil Education and Afrobarometer, the National NCC in 2015 and Afrobarometer report released on 2017, released in 2018 by the Center for Democratic Government, both indicated that about 70% of Ghanaians want to see their MMDCs elected. In January this year, at a survey conducted among 225 participants at the New Year School, 88% of them indicated that they wanted their MMDC elected and elected on partisan basis. So there's been this issue of a governance gap that has been identified. The academia, the researchers, but also at the practical level, the Review Commission went around the country and talked to people. And they identified this governance gap. And as a result of that, 3 parties in their manifestos, that's the MPP, the NDC, and PPP, they stated clearly, pledged in their manifestos, that if they won, they will elect MMDCEs. They will facilitate the processes for election of MMDCEs. The MPP under President Nana Akufo-Addo won, and in quest to deepen decentralization and promote participatory local governments, the government has initiated processes to amend the various articles in the Constitution to start the process. And as I indicated, the Ministry of Local Government worked on the roadmap, and the Attorney General and Minister of Justice has taken the responsibility to actually lay the documents in Parliament for passage. So we've gone through the various processes. The two bills we are tackling now, the articles we are tackling now are the 2431 and 553. The bill to amend 2431 is to allow for election of MMDCEs. And as I indicated, we need to have some clarity on this. 2431 states that there should be a district chief executive for every district who shall be appointed by the president with the prior approval of not less than 2/3 majority of members of assembly present and voting at the meeting. This is not an entrenched clause. And Article 291 provides for the amendment of non-entrenched articles of the Constitution. And any such amendment must be approved by the votes of at least 2/3 of all members of Parliament. So right now, Parliament is 275. So it will not be members present and vote no. It will be calculated 2/3 of all the members. So if they are not even present, they will be in counting the 2/3, they will be counted. So that means a big number. If you quickly work on 2/3 of 275, it means that no party has that majority. MPP has that 2/3. MPP is majority. We have 169. NDC has 106. None of us has majority. Even we as majority, we have majority, but we don't have the 2/3 majority. So to move forward on this 2431 will definitely require consensus building and support from both parties. The proposed amendment is, the title of the amendment is an act to amend Article 2431 of the Constitution to provide for a district chief executive to be elected by universal adult suffrage within the district. That's the title. And then the amendment proposed to be inserted or replace what we have now as Article 2431 is to read, each district shall have a district chief executive who shall be elected to the office by universal adult suffrage within the district. This article, we've gone through all the motions as required. It was sent to Parliament, read, sent to, no, it was laid in Parliament, then sent to Council of State. Council of State gave their comment, approved, brought it back to Parliament for the first reading, and then was sent to the Committee on Constitutional, Legal, and Parliamentary Affairs. They look at matters on amendments of the Constitution. We met with them. I met them with the staff from the Attorney General and my deputies. We talked, they asked questions, we responded, gave our explanation. And in the end, they reached a consensus for its passage. Having reached a consensus, it was laid in Parliament just before we rose the last time. And we debated on it. But at that point in time, we realized that the opposition had a few issues and they were not forthright towards the vote. So the advice generally was that let's hold on to it and then come back on it when we resume. And we are resuming at the end of this month. So the outstanding matter in Parliament now on this is to vote on the bill. We've gone through the processes. What is outstanding now is a vote on the bill. And if you get the 2/3 majority, That means now, well, when we get the two-thirds majority, definitely the president will assent to it. It has to be sent to the president to assent. I know definitely he will assent to it. When we get that, now it means our MMDCEs will be elected through universal adult suffrage. This does not talk about party participation. It is the election process. Article 243 does not mention party, and it's not the article that relates to parties, that talks about parties' participation. No. Article 243, is within the chapter 20 that talks about decentralization. It simply talks about appointment of MMDCs. And we are saying that to even start the process, that's the key one. It has to be amended to allow for election of MMDCs. So if it's amended, the implication is that our next set of MMDCs will have to vote for them. Now, the other article then comes in, because the president stated clearly that we will elect our MMDCs on a partisan basis. So we need to clear the ground first to get the MMDCs elected. And that's the reason why we started this process, to get the parliament to amend 2431. And when that is done, then we'll then go to the next stage. Now looking at the nature of that election, that is the partisan nature. It's Article 55(3) of our Constitution that stops political parties from participating in district level election. And Article 55(3) is not within the chapter on decentralization. It is the article that talks about people representation, political parties. So it's a different article that focuses on political parties. And it states that, subject to the provisions of this article, a political party is free to participate in shaping the political will of the people, to disseminate our local government units. So it is that other than to district assemblies or lower local government units that stops political parties from participating in district level election. And this is an entrenched clause. That's the issue. It's an entrenched clause. An amendment of Article 55(3), we think, will pave the way to introduce political party participation in local governments, to deepen democracy, ensure effective activism and mobilization, as well as establish a more accountable governance at the local level. To amend Article 55(3), Article 290 of the Constitution provides for the amendment of an entrenched clause. So that means, as they are within the provisions of Article 290, the key requirement is a national referendum. For any entrenched clause to be amended, you need to send the bill through a national referendum. What have we proposed for this amendment? The title of the amendment that we'll have on paper and we've sent to Parliament is an act to amend Article 55(3) of the Constitution to allow political parties to sponsor candidates for election to any public office. That's the title. And then the amendment, when done, will now read, subject to the provision of this article, a political party may participate in shaping the political will of the people, disseminate information on the political party's social and economic programs of a national character, and sponsor candidates for election to any public office. So we are putting the full stop at the any public office. So in effect, the additional phrase that other than district level election will be deleted. So this is what the amendment will look like, will be on the Constitution. And to amend an article, an entrenched article, through a national referendum, it is required that at least 40% of registered voters do turn out to vote. At least 40% do turn out to vote. And of the 40% that turns out, at least 75% must vote in favor of the bill. So this is a big tax, an appeal tax. If we need to get our MMDCs elected, and elected on partisan basis, we have to whip out people to come and vote. We have to get people to come out and vote. 40% must come out, and 75% must vote in favor of this. As I indicated, we've gone through the processes. It's gone through Parliament, gone through Council of State. Council of State recommended, it's come back. We've laid it in Parliament now. And it requires that one is laid in Parliament. Parliament will not do anything about it. They will send it to EC. It has been sent to EC, and EC has slated 17th December 2019 for the national referendum alongside the district level elections. So 17th December is the day. It's not, we don't have time now, less than 3 months. And despite indications of broad public support, as I earlier indicated, about the need to have our MMDCs elected on partisan basis, there's the need to intensify education and awareness raising of the Ghanaian voter on the importance of coming out in their numbers to vote massively for the amendment of Article 55.3 to allow for multi-party participation in district-level election. Public awareness is required also for our citizenry to prevail upon their MPs to approve the bill to amend the Article 243 in Parliament. There's been confusion in the minds of people. Some people are saying, oh, the referendum means election of our MMDCs. So I thought it was very important that we interact with you, who give out the information, who share the information and interact with people to help in the process and explain to them that the strategy and the objective of amending 2431 is to amend the provision to allow for election of MMDC or universal adult suffrage. That is it. And that's in Parliament. It's not an entrenched clause. Then, to allow for multi-party participation, then it means amending Article 55.3. And that is an entrenched clause, and that is what the referendum is about. So the implication is that if we don't pass 2431 in Parliament, and then we go to the referendum and we have the referendum vote yes, there should be now political party participation in district level election. It doesn't mean we are going to elect MMDCs. Am I clear on that? Even if we have a yes vote at the referendum, as we would just have a yes vote at the referendum without amending 243, it does not mean MMDCs will be elected, because there are two separate articles in the Constitution. So if we have a yes vote, it will only apply to MMDCs if 2431 is amended to allow for election of MMDCs. So that's why, for us, we think it's very important that Parliament amends Article 2431. That's why it's important for Parliament to amend Article 2431. Then we go to the referendum, knowing that our MMDCs are now subject to election through universal adult suffrage. And we are adding on this referendum to ensure that now we can elect them through political parties, activity, mobilization, and representation. So there are two things. Of course, they are linked, but it's important that we have clarity on this. I've added to the paper plenty write-up at one night, what I think, or what we have gathered, not only me, gathered from all sources, we think are the merits for electing our MMDCs. And then we've also added a bit on what we think are the perceived demerits as proposed by others. And we had an interaction with the Coalition on Civil Society, and they gave us additional points on why they stand for the election of MMDC on partisan basis, and gave us some points. So I've just added all this as notes for us to read through. But I think it's also, for me, I think it's also important that we work towards election of MMDCs. It enhances democracy at the local level. It facilitates participation of our citizenry. And it makes our MMDCs, it will make our MMDC more accountable to the people. I've been telling people that when I go home to my constituency in Alirgo, and 6 a.m., people are already there in my house coming to greet me. I stay in my father's house. It's just this four-corner house. If you know, those who know compound house, four-corner compound house. The gates are usually open. We don't lock our gates. If you lock at midnight, you open them by 5 a.m. to go out and pray. They'll come in 6 a.m., stand by my window. They come right to my window. Hey, Haji, are you still sleeping? We've come to greet you. Why? Get up. Even though I may be a bit bored that they are disturbing me, I still have to come out and smile. Do you get me? I'll come out, I listen to them, and do that. I hope this one is not what you are going to put up on TV. I hope this is not the story you are going to put up on TV. Maybe I should have said. But the MMDCEs, it's not necessarily the same relationship because they are not elected. And people hold MPs more accountable than MMDCEs. The issues, you know that actually as MPs, our role is to pass laws, legislation. Our role is not actually to be doing development projects, but we are obliged to be working on development projects, lobbying for development projects, doing development projects in our place, because we realize that this is what they want. It's the district assemblies that have been set up with MMDCEs to come out with plans and then budget for their activities. And resources are available for that, either through the DACF or other discredited funding that we give to them, or their own internally generated funds. But somehow, because the people do not elect them, that affinity is more with their MPs than their MMDs. So if you go around our constituencies and you interview and talk to people, you will realize what I'm talking about. So why should the people that should respond to their developmental interests and needs be appointed at the center in Accra? And the MPs, who are just legislators, be elected by them. So the MMDCs are the ones who have functional relationship with the people at the grassroots, everyday people. They are the ones who have functional relationship with them. There are water issues. There's the assemblies that should look at that. There are educations, if there's a roof or they don't have chairs in their assembly hall. Every time they are sending me text messages about no chairs in some classrooms. But it's the DCE that they should be sending those messages to. So it means that functional relationship, that link is missing because they are not the ones electing the MMDCEs. So it is important that we take this democratic reform seriously and support the process. And we're lucky to have a president who says, I have the power. The Constitution has given me the power to appoint, but I'm prepared to let this power go. I'm giving out this power. If only you will go through the processes to repeal the various legal provisions. If we miss this opportunity, we may have one day another president who may not be interested in relinquishing that power. At the end of the day, that authority to appoint 260 MMDCs, it gives the president power and authority. But to allow for democracy to flourish, allow for people participation in the process, he's saying that, look, the research have indicated that this is what Ghanaians want. The Constitutional Review Commission report indicated that this is what Ghanaians want. I've discussed with my party. I've discussed with former heads of states. They all say that, yes, decentralization in this present form has been on for 30 years. Let's move forward with it. So I said, yes, let's do it. So I'm calling on you, hands with us, for us to do it, for Ghana. It's not for any party. It's not for MPP. Like I indicated, all the three parties, at least I'm sure of three parties, MPP, NDC, PPP, they had it in their manifesto. That if either one, they will go through the process of electing their MMDCs. And I think this is for the country. This is a national call. If you look at the Constitution, the kind of executive power it gives to the president, when I sit there, I will talk about that. Executive powers, a power in the hands of the president. So this is an opportunity for us to start taking out some of that power for them, the executive, and allowing the people to choose their mayors. Those at the community level who are responsible to provide leadership for them to develop their areas, as also realize their own potentials. So the Inky fraternity, I need your help. We need your help to support us in this. And let's look at it from a bipartisan perspective. Let's look at it from a bipartisan perspective. At the end of the day, it's for Ghana, it's not for MPP. So we need your help to support us in this. One, talk to the MPs to pass the 2431 in Parliament. You relate to them, you interact with them all the time. Tell them, why are you not passing this bill? It's important that we pass it. Talk to them to pass it. When we resume, then it will be passed. And secondly, then the 55.3 comes in. Help us, social responsibility. We may not have money to do the adverse like political parties do the adverse. This is a program that we want you to help us for national development. So we need your help to support us. Send a message across so that people will turn out 17th December to vote. What will happen on 7th December is there will be 3 ballot boxes. First, you go, they'll tell for you, you go and vote for your assembly person. Then, when you finish that, you go to the second box. They'll tell for you, you vote for your unit committee member. Then you go to the third box. That will now be the referendum. I'm not very sure what the referendum question will be framed. It's EC that will frame the referendum question. But it will be in the nature of, I'm not quoting, but I'm just telling you, it will be in the nature of, do you agree that political parties should participate in district level election? And our expectation and hope is that they will go and vote, yes, we agree. Then at the end of 17th December, when we count the votes, EC will then write a certificate to the president to say that at least 40% turnout, and of 40%, 75 voted what? Yes. So this is what we need you to do and do for Ghana. Thank you very much. Pastor showed me some campaign slogan. If I say referendum, you say power to the people. Referendum. If I say referendum, power to the people, then referendum 17th December. Referendum, vote yes. Referendum. 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 Vote yes. Now, the women issue, participation of women, yes. We have the appointment with district assemblies, and we have that appointment window where women can be appointed. But it's not always that women get appointed, even with the appointment window. It's not that. When I was made minister for women, when I was made minister for local government, the appointment that were brought to some districts came, not a single woman were appointed. I sent them back. I sent them back. I said, you cannot bring me an appointed list without a woman. But you may not have that situation. So in the past, the percentage of women appointed have varied. If you look at the statistics now, it's better because I insisted. But if they don't insist, it may not be there. So the fact that we have the appointment doesn't mean we will always have women. But it provides a window. I agree with you that it provides a window. With the election of MMDCEs or election of assembly members, we have to actively go out there and support women. Like when you go or you are reporting, you make it an agenda item. You talk to women and tell the community. You identify some women who are doing well. You identify some women who are doing well and tell them that, you see, we have these women assembly members here. They are doing this for their community. They are doing this for their communities. If you also look amongst you and identify women, they will do better for you. For every successful woman, there are 3 strong men. And strong women too behind them. So the men too can identify. It's not just women identify. We need the men to also take up this issue, talk to people, talk to women, talk to communities, to push for women to stand. It's our traditional issue. Even me standing here talking like this, if I didn't get encouragement, I would not have come out to be MP. I got encouragement, and the encouragement actually came from men. I got encouragement, the encouragement came from men. Look, you can stand for us, go and stand, go and stand. And the leadership of the party, when they came to the north and met me, they said, look, you must run for us. They encouraged me to run. So we need that encouragement. So you need to go out there. And importantly, we need to push for the affirmative action. If the affirmative action is on, then it will provide space for us to get more women into the assemblies. And also, if not even MMDC, but at least get more women into the district assemblies. The affirmative action will usually allow for proportional representation. The EC will play a role. It depends on how it is worked out. It's still in the development stage. The whole document has not yet been fully developed. It came to cabinet some time back. Cabinet raised issues for them to go and fix it up. So and I'm sure we have the appetite. Nana Akufo's government has the appetite to pass the affirmative action law. So when it hasn't come back to cabinet, when it comes, it will be worked on. And I think it will provide space throughout all the levels, not only at national level, but also local level, for us to have women participating in district level election. Many of the comments that you have raised, the issues that you have raised, apart from the district being metropolitan amendment, that one is taken care of. Usually the Constitution and the law, they'll just say district. But then there are always interpretation. So in the interpretation in the Constitution and our Local Governance Act, it's always long to say metropolitan municipal district. So in all the laws and the Constitution, they use district. But in the interpretation, it will give the meaning of district. District means metropolitan, municipal, and district. So it takes care of it there. Most of the issues that you have raised are concerns on the ground, yes. But it shouldn't stop us from taking the right action, moving in the right direction to develop our country. All this issue about we being underdeveloped, we having all this issue in the we have these issues on the ground. If we elect our MMDCEs, those of us who will be alive in 20 years, you will see a remarkable change in our communities. You see remarkable change in our communities. The DC himself will want to leave a legacy. He has been elected. He will want to leave a legacy. So he will want to do something. And beyond that, he knows 4 years, he will come back. And he may want to be DC again. Even if he will limit his term, I'm not sure what it will be. Even if his term is limited for 2 years, he knows that at the end of the day, he wants to leave a legacy. And ensure that somebody his party will sponsor will win again. So that is a challenge. When you are elected, it's a challenge presented to you, and you want to do something about it. The political parties, yes, we can't deny that there's patronage, there's money issues going on. But because of the money issues, then we say, no, we shouldn't do anything. Is that how we want our society to be forever and ever? No. That patronage system must stop. So we should work on it and ensure that it stops. We shouldn't say because politics is monetized, we shouldn't do the right thing at the community level. Now I'm talking like I'm on a platform. No. I should know that I'm talking to editors. Let me calm down. We should not say because of the monetization, we shouldn't do the right thing. Let's do the right thing and work and ensure that we have strong institutions. Our institutions must be built up. As my deputy said, there are consequential legislations. In fact, the whole decentralization reform, we are doing a whole decentralization reform. The laws will be changed. As we move forward, we'll have people engaging, we'll have round tables, suggestions will be made. We've already started engaging these think tank organizations to help us, the reforms, for us to see what reforms we need to put in place. So reforms will be made. So after that patronage system, I'm not denying that there's monetization or there's patronage, but that shouldn't be the goal we should be setting ourselves for the future. We should be setting up systems to ensure that that patronage is breaking. I want my grandchildren to enjoy. I don't want my grandchildren to continue living in a patronage system. I have 3 grandchildren. I want them to enjoy. So we need to work and fight and ensure that these things are gone. Political parties' participation is so important. If you look at district level elections, the average is 35%. Sometimes it's as low as 25% participation, turnout. People don't come out. The average is 35%. I hear the highest has been 55% in 88, when we started with the district level election. The first district level election, that was when people came out, 55%. That has been the highest. Since then, it's come down, and it's about 35% on the average. But when it comes to political parties' activism and participation, people turn out. The last election was 85% turnout. President and MPs, it's 85% turnout. And you know why? The political parties play a role in bringing people out. There's that activity, that's mobilization. So even though political parties have disadvantages, they also promote people's participation. They promote development. So they play a role in pushing development in our communities. So there are advantages. And as my deputy said, it has been the tested system throughout the world. It has been the tested system, and it's working. And if you think it's good for the center, why shouldn't it be at the local level? Those of us from villages, we also want our villages to come up, to develop. It's not only at the center. People should be able to hold their staff, their leaders responsible, and they should provide accountable and responsible leadership at the local level. The point was also made that they don't see our parties campaigning. I think they will come up eventually. And it's not only, in fact, one of the reasons NDC raised, the minority side raised in Parliament was that they want to see MMDCs elected on partisan basis. And if MMDCs are elected on partisan basis, we should ensure that the referendum is carried. And we're saying that, yes, the referendum, we need you to campaign. We need all PPP to campaign. We need CPP to campaign. We need NDC to campaign. So the referendum is not just based on government. It's based on all of us. After all, NDC got 40%. We got 50. I mean, the percentages that we had 10 voters. If we all put our hands on the deck, we should be able to get over 70% turnout. If we are serious, last year was 85%. If we are serious, we should be able to get 70% turnout. And the Constitution just required 40. So we should be able to work together and get that 40% turnout. I met with the MPP National Executive Committee. In fact, the president was there and I was invited. I talked to them, like I'm explaining to you, talk to them. But everybody needs sensitization and on the matter. I talked to them and I explained the issues to them, and I gave them clarity. And the president also stated the position, and that this is a reform the government is bringing, and we should work together. I think all the parties have been busy, MPP, we've been busy now with our primaries. And I'm sure you will hear them soon also moving and campaigning for election of MMDCEs. I think the parties will come on eventually. But we should also whip them to come out, tell them if you are saying, because individually on the platform, they talk about election of MMDCs and talk about election of MMDCs on partisan basis. If we talk about it individually on the platform, what are they doing about it as a party? You should ask them those questions. What are they doing about it as a party? We don't hear them. They should come out. I believe MPP will be out soon. I think we've been able to answer most of the questions, if not all. I will run through quickly on the perceived demerits. The perceived demerits that you said we've put down, but we haven't provided answers. We've done a lot of rounds in the country. We went around the 10 regions, this sensitization. We've met with professional bodies. We've been to the national groups at our meeting. We've met with various associations. We've met with religious groups. We met with the Christian Council. We met with the Federation of Muslim Council. We've met UPress. We've met, and especially our regional meetings, some of these issues came up. So we just put them as demerits, not because we think they are demerits, but because people have raised them. We want you to know, so that you can also start thinking about responses to them. So yes, an MMDCE in an opposition party may undermine a ruling government. We just gave the example of South Africa, Pretoria, Cape Town, Joburg. They have opposition party MMDCs. Freetown has an opposition party mayor. A woman is the mayor of Freetown. She's from opposition party. She was elected. And Nairobi practices election. Zambia, they do that. And so many other countries in Africa. And this, I'm talking, even mentioning the unitary countries. Nigeria, you may say, because it's a federal state. But so many of the other unitary countries, they have their mayors elected. And why not? If we are talking about election and an opposition person wins, why not? The president says he's very comfortable with that. Why shouldn't an opposition party win? And it helps us with this issue of winner takes all. Maybe some parties will feel that I haven't won, but I have a niche in this district. I can work in this district, and then we have the mayor. It helps. So that it doesn't look like everything goes to the center, every good thing goes to the winner. It doesn't have to be so. So this patronage that we are talking about is because people know that when a party wins, everything goes to the winner. But if they know that there's an opportunity for me to participate in governance, or for that matter, for me to also control the budget and control some resources at a different level. This tension that we see, everybody feeling that I must win by all means, I must win by all means, the tension may come down. So this is a way of reducing that tension. They will win some seats there. What's the big deal about that? We should learn to live with it. We are all Ghanaians. We're all Ghanaians, and we cooperate. We do a lot of things together. People talk about Ghanaian hospitality. So if an opposition party should be an MMDC, what should be the big deal about that? I should be comfortable to interact as a minister for local government. I should be comfortable to interact with any opposition MMDC. After all, we're interacting with parliament. And you may not know it, the opposition MMDCE may even lobby the government more because he want to put resources to his place. The mandatory resources that I have is only 5%. Their salaries, remuneration, and 5%. That 5% is a district assembly common fund. How about the rest of the capital fund, the 95%? And an MMDC who is from opposition will say, I don't want it. As Minister for Local Government, I have people from MDC lobbying me. Sometimes they even lobby me more than my party. They want to know, oh, so your ministry, what is there for the districts? What is there for this that we can send to our districts? They lobby, and they lobby all the other ministers. So this patronage that you talked about, that some people will feel that they've helped their party to win, and then so they want to be MMDC. They should take their eyes off MMDC. If they want MMDC, they should go and run. And in any case, there will still be so many other positions that a winning president can still give to his party people. It's not only MMDC. The merits, for me, in electing of MMDC far outweighs the demerits. So I'm calling on you, let's work and get a yes vote. For the traditional authorities, we went to the National House of Chiefs. They are concerned. They feel that, you know, with the colonial governance structure, they were part of local governance, and they feel that increasingly they've been they've been left out. That is something for us to debate. And by the governance system, how will an auditor general go to a chief and then be asking the chief questions? There are certain things about the dignity of traditional authority that may not lend itself conveniently to elected office and to modern governance system. There are merits and demerits. But we could set up some committees and put some traditional authorities in charge, because we know they play a role in the development of, for example, if there's a health committee, some other committees, we could put some chiefs in charge as official members of the assemblies and gain their support, mobilization, grassroots participation. So that is something that we need to look at. And as we were told earlier on, there are so many other reforms. We cannot do everything now. We want to focus on these two. Get 2431 amended, get the referendum passed, and the issues about reforms of our local governance system will be put on the table. We will have roundtable conferences, we will have discussions. Look, there are so many consequential legislations already that we know we have to amend. Like Article 248, that talks about parties, no participation in district level elections. If the referendum carries, it will be amended. But it cannot be amended now until that referendum is passed. There are so many other articles that we may look at. And then the law itself, the local governance law, we'll need to look at it. National Security Act, Intelligence Act, we may have to look. There are so many other things that we'll look at. But we need to start with these two and then think about the other reforms. Okay. I think we've tackled most of the distance. The retired civil servants and all that, we'll have to find ways of engaging them. In all other countries, they engage their retired civil servants in committees. They can support in the committee work, they can support advisors. Some of them in other countries do it voluntarily. They say, well, I've retired, I'm home, I have expertise in this, I can support. And even now, if any civil servant comes with that kind of support, a retired civil servant comes off of board, we'll welcome it. Sometimes I invite people like even Professor Wood and all that to come and help me think through some of these reforms. And they come willingly and they support. So, thank you very much for now.